The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Zexhi's tentacles trembled with barely contained horror. The holographic display showed Earth in all its terrifying glory, swirling storms that could level cities, tectonic plates grinding against each other with apocalyptic force, and vast oceans teeming with predators that would make a Korthak battle beast flee in terror. This, Zexhi announced to the assembled delegates, is why humanity must never be granted full council membership. They are Deathworlders, survivors of a planet so hostile that even our most advanced terraforming technology couldn't make it habitable for civilized species. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The ethereal collective's representative, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline form, pulsed with nervous light. Our preliminary scans confirm it. Earth experiences what they call natural disasters with frightening regularity. Earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis. Any one of these phenomena would cause the complete evacuation of our worlds. And yet, added the Vorthon delegate, his insectoid features clicking with distaste, they not only survive but thrive in these conditions. It's unnatural. What none of them mentioned, what their reports had carefully omitted, was that 3 human ships had already requested permission to dock at the council station. The request had been denied, of course, but the humans had responded with what their translators could only render as polite insistence that they had urgent business to discuss. High Admiral Marcus Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the massive council station rotate slowly against the star field. His weathered face showed no emotion as the denial of docking privileges scrolled across his screen for the 3rd time. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "they're not responding to our diplomatic frequencies anymore." Chen nodded. "Patch me through to the other ships." Captain Elena Vasquez of the UES Resilience and Captain Kwame Osei of the UES Endurance appeared on his screen. Both wore the same expression he knew was on his own face, the look of humans who had been patient long enough. "Status report," Chen said simply. "My cultural specialists have been monitoring their communications," Vasquez reported. "They're debating whether to classify us as a Category 5 extinction threat based solely on our planet of origin." Osei's dark eyes flashed with something that wasn't quite anger. "Meanwhile, the Zephyrian mining colonies in the Outer Rim are under attack by the Devourers. My tactical analysis suggests they have maybe 72 hours before complete annihilation." Chen felt that familiar tightness in his chest, the same feeling he'd had as a young officer when Hurricane Sarah had battered the Florida coast and he'd watched the rescue teams prepare to fly into the storm while everyone else evacuated. The feeling of knowing what needed to be done while others debated the risks. "They called us Deathworlders," he said quietly. "Time to show them what that means." The plan was elegant in its simplicity. While the council debated the philosophical implications of allowing Deathworlders into civilized space, the 3 human ships simply left. Their destination, the Zephyrian colonies, 18 hours away at maximum burn. By the time the council realized the humans had departed without permission, the UES Defiance was already engaging the first wave of Devourer ships. The Devourers were everything the intelligence reports had suggested, a species of living starships, each one a kilometer of tooth, claw, and hunger capable of stripping a planet bare in days. They moved like a pack of cosmic predators, hunting in coordinated swarms that had overwhelmed every military force they'd encountered. They had never encountered anything like humans before. "Evasive pattern Delta," Chen commanded, as a Devourer, twice the size of his ship, turned toward them, its maw opening to reveal rows of energy-draining teeth. "Fire everything." The battle that followed would be studied in military academies for centuries. Not because of superior human technology, their ships were actually somewhat primitive by galactic standards. Not because of numbers, they were outnumbered 50 to 1, but because of something the galaxy had never seen before. A species that treated certain death as simply another problem to solve. When the Resilience's engines failed under Devourer assault, Captain Vasquez didn't retreat. She ordered all power to weapons and manually piloted her crippled ship directly into the largest Devourer's feeding cluster, her crew singing an old Earth sea shanty over the comm as they rammed home. When Captain Osei's shields failed and his ship began to buckle under the psychic pressure of the devourer hive mind, he broadcast his own memories of surviving Cyclone Idai as a child. The terror, the loss, and the absolute refusal to give up directly into their shared consciousness. The feedback stunned the creatures long enough for Chen to deliver the killing blow. And when Chen's own ship finally died around him, bleeding atmosphere and fire, he didn't curse or panic. He simply activated the emergency beacon and prepared to do what humans had always done in the face of certain death, whatever it took to save one more life. The rescue ships found him 4 hours later, drifting in a survival pod that should have failed after 30 minutes in the radiation-soaked battlefield. He was awake, monitoring Zephyrian evacuation frequencies, and his first words were a request for casualty reports. The Zephyrian colonies were saved. All of them. The Devourer fleet was scattered, broken against something they had never encountered before, prey that refused to act like prey. When the Council finally convened an emergency session to address the human incident, they found Ambassador Chen waiting for them in the observation gallery. He sat quietly, his uniform still bearing scorch marks from the battle, and said nothing as they debated the implications of his species' actions. "They violated our sovereign space," HFY declared. "They ignored our authority and acted unilaterally in a matter of galactic security. They also," the ethereal collective's representative noted, its crystalline form pulsing with uncertain light, "accomplished what our combined fleets could not. The Devourer threat is ended." The Vorthon delegate clicked his mandibles nervously. "How do we classify a species that treats suicide missions as routine military tactics?" Chen finally stood, and something in his movement made the entire chamber fall silent. "You called us Deathworlders," he said, his voice carrying clearly through the vast space. "You were right. We come from a world that tries to kill us every day. Storms that could shatter your cities, predators that hunt in our oceans, diseases that have claimed billions of our people." He paused, looking around the chamber at the assembled representatives of a dozen species. "But you made one mistake in your calculations. You assumed that coming from a death world made us more dangerous. To you. The truth is simpler than that." His weathered face showed the slightest hint of a smile. "It made us more willing to die for you." The vote for full council membership was unanimous. Outside the station, the stars wheeled on in their ancient patterns, indifferent to the fears and hopes of the small beings who traveled between them. But somewhere in the cosmos, the word was already spreading among both predator and prey species alike. The Deathworlders had arrived, and they were exactly as terrifying and wonderful as the stories claimed.